In a bustling colony where every insect had its role, there lived an ant who stood out for her dedication. Every day she arrived early at the office, a small clearing where the ants organized their tasks, and worked diligently. The ant was a model of productivity. She carried leaves, organized supplies, and met her goals with an efficiency that seemed almost magical. More than that, she was happy. As she worked, she hummed a gentle melody, content with the simplicity of her routine and the sense of contributing to the colony. She didn't need orders or supervision. Her motivation came from within, from a natural sense of purpose. But the colony's manager, a rigid beetle obsessed with control, began to watch the ant with suspicion. How could she be so productive without supervision? To the manager, this made no sense. In his limited view, productivity without oversight was something that needed to be optimized. He thought to himself, if the ant is this efficient on her own, imagine how much more she could produce with someone to guide her. And so, driven by his flawed logic, the manager decided to intervene. He appointed a cockroach, known for her experience and impeccable report-making skills, as the ant's new supervisor. The cockroach arrived full of modern ideas about management. Her first measure was to standardize the ant's entry and exit times, something that had never been necessary since the ant always arrived early and left when her tasks were done. But the cockroach insisted that control equals progress. Soon, she realized she'd need more resources to execute her plan. She hired a secretary to help draft her reports, a meticulous spider who began organizing files and managing phone calls between the colony's sectors. What had once been a simple operation, with the ant working alone and happy, was now turning into a tangle of processes and paperwork. The manager, impressed by the cockroach's detailed reports, was delighted. He demanded more, graphs with performance indicators, trend analyses, and presentations for weekly meetings. The cockroach, proud of her administrative efficiency, complied eagerly. She hired a fly to assist with the graphs and purchased a computer with a printer, something the colony had never needed before. Endless meetings became part of the routine, with the cockroach and her team discussing numbers and targets, while the ant, who once worked with ease, began to feel the weight of this new structure. The ant, who used to hum while carrying her leaves, now found herself surrounded by papers, reports, and orders. Her simple tasks were replaced by forms to fill out and meetings to attend. She began to lament, "Why all this complication? I just want to do my work." The happiness that once accompanied her was giving way to growing frustration. The bureaucracy, which the manager believed would boost productivity, was instead stifling the very essence of what made the ant so effective, her freedom and intrinsic motivation. The lesson beginning to emerge was clear. More control doesn't always mean better results. Sometimes true productivity flourishes in simplicity, and excessive intervention can destroy what already works well. As the bureaucratic structure grew, the colony seemed increasingly detached from its original essence. The manager, thrilled with the appearance of organization the cockroach had brought, decided it was time to take things further. He created a managerial position for the area where the ant worked, appointing a cicada to the role. The cicada, with her shrill voice and grandiose ideas, arrived with fanfare. She ordered a carpet for her office and demanded a special chair for her comfort. She also needed a computer and brought her former assistant, a flea, to help her develop a strategic improvement plan and a strict budget control for the area. The ant, who once worked with joy and efficiency, could hardly recognize her own environment. Where there had once been just her and her leaves, there was now an entire team: cockroach, spider, fly, cicada, and flea, all busy with tasks that, in the ant's view, contributed nothing to the colony's real work. She no longer hummed. Her voice was silenced by the weight of meetings, reports, and the new rules the cicada imposed daily. Each day, the ant grew more irritated, more demotivated. What had once been a job that filled her with purpose now felt like a prison of papers and processes. The cicada, noticing the ant's discontent but failing to understand its cause, convinced the manager that a climate survey was needed to assess the work environment. The manager, always eager for more data, agreed, but upon reviewing the colony's finances, he noticed something alarming. The unit where the ant worked, once the most productive, was now yielding far less. The colony, which had once thrived on the ant's simple and efficient labor, was sinking under the weight of the new bureaucratic structure. Concerned, the manager hired an owl, a renowned consultant, to diagnose the situation. The owl spent 3 months in the colony, observing, interviewing, and analyzing every detail. In the end, she delivered a lengthy report with a simple yet devastating conclusion. There are too many people in this company. The manager read the report carefully, and his decision was swift. He needed to cut costs and boost efficiency. But instead of questioning the necessity of so many roles and processes, he pointed the finger at the only one still trying to do the real work, the ant. "She's been very demotivated and upset," the manager said, ignoring that the ant's demotivation was a direct result of the bureaucracy he had allowed to grow. And so, the ant, who had once been the heart of the colony, was fired. The parable of the ant teaches us a powerful lesson about the dangers of bureaucracy and unnecessary intervention. The ant was happy and productive because she worked with freedom and purpose, but the imposition of layers of control and processes suffocated her, draining her motivation and, ultimately, her place in the colony. The manager, the cockroach, the cicada, and the others believed that more structure meant more efficiency, but the result was the opposite. The colony lost its essence and its productivity. The story invites us to reflect. How often do we overcomplicate what already works well? How often, in the name of progress, do we destroy what is simple and effective? True wisdom sometimes lies in recognizing the value of simplicity and protecting what already works, rather than smothering it with unnecessary layers of control. The ant's story shows us that simplicity often holds the key to true productivity. What lessons have you learned from overcomplication in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep reflecting on life's deeper truths together. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more parables that inspire.